Okay, Volkswagen fans and electric car geeks from around the world, it's time for a game of Spot the Difference, because this is the new Volkswagen ID.3. Okay, admittedly this isn't massively different looking from this angle, but there are a lot of subtle tweaks and some big changes inside to answer criticisms from you, the owners. To be honest, this is all a bit of a surprise. You see, normally we'd expect to see a car updated after 3 or 4 years, but VW has decided it needed to speed things up a bit as technology moves fast in the world of electric cars. In fact, Volkswagen claims it doesn't want to be a car maker anymore. It says it's becoming a zero-emission software-based mobility service provider. Right. So before we look at the software, let's look at the hardware, or as I would call it, a car. At the front it has these two fangs here and this extra panel. There's also this electric radiator blind which only opens when the power units need cooling. On the old car there used to be a black strip here which made the bonnet appear shorter. It's now much longer and a bit more elegant, I think. Then there are these clever headlights which are designed to resemble a human eye. When you walk towards the car and open it, they swivel like this and give you a little welcome. Then there's this silver strip along the roof, and the weird stickers have gone from the rear pillar. At the back, there are new 2-part taillight clusters which stretch onto the boot lid a bit. The brake light creates an X shape and the indicators sweep from inside to out. If you spec the optional LED matrix headlights, you also get animated lighting patterns in the lamps which welcome and say goodbye to the driver. Goodbye ID.3. There are also some new wheels and some new colours too. This one is called Dark Olivine Green and it appears to change as the light changes from evening to day. I think it makes a real difference from all the kind of dark greys and blacks and washed out whites. I'm looking at you, Tesla. But let's have a look at the really interesting bit inside. Inside, everything is animal free. At least it was until I got in here. There are lights. Lots of lights. In fact, you can pay to upgrade to have 30 illuminated colours on a subscription, but the dashboard is dominated by this new 12-inch screen. This is the reason the facelift of this car was brought forward. The technology just wasn't good enough. Even when it worked properly, the switches were infuriating and customers hated them. If you disagree in the comments below, then I can only assume you're the software engineer's mother. Trouble is, you see this nice 12-inch screen, we don't get that in the UK. We only get 10 inches until mid-2024. And the reason is the light switch over here for the headlamps gets in the way. The other big criticism inside the last ID.3 was the quality. It might have been screwed together properly, but it felt a bit cheap. This feels much more, well, Volkswagen-y. There's lots of squishiness on the surfaces you'll touch often, and the door panels have been completely redesigned. The seats are great too, and are now better as standard rather than it being an expensive option. If you're one of the people who moaned about the quality inside an ID.3, then rest assured you were heard by the big bosses. There's still lots of room in the back, that hasn't changed, but the quality hasn't had quite the same upgrade as the front of the car, but there is some extra squishiness on the door panels too. Now, one thing that hasn't been fixed is the wipers. Now, people say I'm obsessed with this, but I know a lot of you feel the same. So come on, back me up, guys. When the car arrives in the UK in the summer, they will still have the wiping pattern, which is optimised for left-hand drive, which gives us Brits a bit of a blind spot and splashes in our line of vision. But don't worry, it hardly ever rains in the UK. But at least it still has a rear wiper, which is becoming something of a rarity these days. Okay. Enough of the cosmetics. I'm guessing you want to know about the mechanical bits. Well, there's nothing really to report here. It's a cut and paste of the old car, which is not a bad thing. That means there are 58 and 77 kilowatt hour power packs with a 201 horsepower motor at the back. Oddly, the official range of the 77 has gone down slightly, just by a couple of miles, but the smaller 58 manages 264 miles, and that's the same as the old car. There is a smaller battery coming within a year, but we're not quite sure what size it is. It won't be the 45 that we saw in the last car. One of the cleverest bits of new technology is something called plug and charge. So you turn up at a public charger, and instead of having to mess around with like contactless or an app, you just open up, plug in, and the car and the charger talk to each other. It all goes to your account and you get a bill in the post, which is going to make life much easier. Now, I know all you Tesla people have that already, but for the rest of us, it's a great new innovation. What even Tesla can't claim to have is swarm data though. The ID.3 will talk to other VWs and transmitters by the side of the road to warn of things like traffic, accidents or nasty weather. That's really clever. The ID.3 is also now ready for a bit of bi-directional charging action, which means you'll be able to use the battery to power your home at peak periods or even sell energy back to the grid at a profit. If you want to know more about this, it's called V2H, then have a look on the Electrifying website. And lastly, a word about supply. Now, when I last checked, the waiting list for an ID.3 was longer than a year. So some people who are on that list, instead of getting the old car, will be getting one of these. To help free up supply, Volkswagen is opening the taps by extending the production to the big home plant for this company, Wolfsburg. That's in addition to the 3 other factories making ID.3s. That means there's going to be a lot more of these available. The first of these new models will arrive in the UK in early summer, and the price is expected to be broadly the same as the current model. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Would you rather have this zero-emission software-based mobility solution, or perhaps a Cupra Born? Or would you have an MG4 and keep the change? Or would you maybe go for a Tesla that's at the same price as the top of the range one of these? Let us know in the comments. I personally think I'd have this just because of the colour. Because as you can tell, I'm a dedicated fashionista.